Hello, MGTOW. Hello, man. This is Howard Dare. Actual. Thanks for stopping by. So, I want to talk about how we, as a society, culture, are sacrificing, destroying men in order to appease women. But before I get into it, let me say thank you to everybody who's been stopping by, liking, sharing, commenting, subscribing, even donating. I really appreciate it. Thank you, MGTOW. So, I think about these issues, the MGTOW issues, on a regular basis. And I've done a lot of videos on this subject. And I don't want to just keep rehashing the same old things over and over again. So when I have a different way of looking at it, a different perspective, I like to come on and share it with you guys. So, not only do I want to talk about how we are sacrificing pretty much everything of value within our society to appease the women, but I want to talk about how this came about so that you can understand, what's kind of going on inside of the mind of man that enabled this to take place. Now, let me tell you, what I'm talking about here, because it's a strong statement. We are destroying and sacrificing the men, the boys, merely to appease the whims and the feelings and the emotions and, the triggered feelings of the women. And you can disguise it in the idea of, we just want to be fair to the women. We just want to lift up the women. But what if you're dealing with bad actors? What if you're dealing with people who are not being honest with you? What if you're dealing with people who just want more stuff and are willing to throw everybody else in society underneath the bus in order for them to get, just a little bit more stuff? Or what if it's not even they want more stuff? What if it's as simple as they don't want to see anybody else proud, strong, healthy, and happy? Because indeed, they are not. So why should anybody else be entitled to these things? And we're going to set the record straight and show you who's who and what's what. So it's not even their own personal ambition. It is their own feelings of inadequacy projected onto others as the cause, and then acting out upon these people to appease their desire for, vengeance. It's resentment is what it is. And, it runs very, very deep. So we're talking about sacrificing human beings on the altar of virtue signaling. This is the commodity. This is the coin of the realm. Who is the biggest victim? Who has the most compassion? This is the social credit that allows us to interact. So you can be anybody, have accomplished anything, and we can put the question to you, but were you unfair to the underprivileged? Did you not sacrifice a portion or all of your productivity from a healthy person to an unhealthy person? And if you haven't, well, where's your compassion? Where's your virtue? Where's your human heart? And I don't think that we want to admit that this is happening and that we're doing this. And I certainly don't think we understand how and why it happened. If society, if the institutions of society can get a set of ideas into your head, my head, society's head, then that's the groundwork. That's the foundation for a later moral, ethical, virtue-based assault that will then, and only then, have the credibility of having cleared this first layer of assumptions. And these assumptions are, of course, things like, toxic masculinity, patriarchy, women have been oppressed for thousands of years, they're suffering, and, the men are the cause. They're suffering, and anybody who has anything or who has achieved anything that they haven't is the cause. So anyone of merit, anyone of capability, anyone who's productive, anyone who has a good attitude has got a big surprise coming for them, because you can't overcome the majority. You can go your own way, but even that is, you're still dependent and interacting with the rest of the world. And if the rest of the world has it in their mind that you, as an independent man, as an independent thinker, as someone who's not going along with the herd, is of course the danger, well, then you're completely isolated and you're completely alone. And there is no compassion, there is no sympathy, there is no affection, there is no association for you, because the groundwork has been laid that you, as an independent, productive man, are evil, okay? So now, if the underachievers start to cry, you are making them look bad, you're an evil person. And anything that society does to you is perfectly justified. That's what the moral, ethical foundation for the attack is, okay? It says that when we do this terrible thing to you, we've already pre-justified it. Now, I'm talking about men and women, but it goes much deeper than that, okay? The children are being sacrificed on an altar of virtue, of false virtue. Their own children. Do not think that this individual personality is something that you can easily deal with, okay? You cannot get the upper hand with a narcissist. There's no way. Because if you do, they will make note of it and they will get you back in some other way. And understand that the means that are open to them, lies, slander, the legal system, or the relational aggression within, your network of social connections. Don't think that they can't just tear you to pieces, to get you fired, to get your reputation destroyed, to get you alone and isolated in life, to get you cut off from the entirety of the rest of your society. I mean, that is what's going on. The men are individually isolated. And understand, it's not just the women doing it to the men, it's the other men doing it to the men, right? So we've got groups of men who have a powerful voice in the media standing up as male apologists. That's what they are. Because they're signaling to the women that they are the good men. And now the woman says, hey, your child needs a sex change operation. And the man says, well, of course, I'm an enlightened, virtuous, noble, decent person. So if they want to alter their biology in a fundamental way that dictates the rest of their life in a horrific way, yeah, let's do it. I'm okay with that. Because he understands the repercussions, of the woman pitching the emotional virtue signaling fit. He understands he won't survive that. And neither will you, and neither will I, and neither will anyone. Maybe one or two might, someone like Andrew Tate might walk away from it, but the average Joe is not going to do that. It's just not an option for you. And the rest of society sees this. They know she's lying, but they don't care because they want to be, not only do they want to be on the winning side, not only do they want the affection of the female, but they want the virtue signaling credit that they get to the larger group. So once the majority has it in their mind that something is true, it doesn't matter if it's not true. As a matter of fact, the idea that they have taken something that's not true, treated it as if it is true, and now expect everybody else to run with the idea, this is part of the program. This is how it's done. So you're wondering. So you understand what I'm saying is happening. And you understand that the men have this tendency to say, no, Howard, that's not happening. I would never do such a thing. While knowing perfectly well that that's exactly what they're doing. It's a compromised self. It's a compromised moral, ethical vision. And what do you think happens when you do that to yourself? Well, you lose credibility with yourself. You now have shame and guilt because you've betrayed your own values. But the men are doing it in order to appease the women. The rest of society is doing it because they might start to cry and they're suffering and they feel that they've been treated unfairly. But this doesn't mean that they have been treated unfairly. So you get falsely accused. Everybody knows that you've been falsely accused, but nobody cares that you've been falsely accused. How's that for morality and justice and ethics and law and politics? It's garbage. It's trash. Anybody with any standards will turn away from it. So you understand what I'm saying, what I'm talking about. Now let's talk about why it happened, okay? No, I'm going to save that for another video, okay? Gone on too long already. Let me know what you think about this and this subject in the comments section so that I can incorporate this into the next video as to why this took place. What fundamental weakness do we have in our psyche that allowed this to take place? Because it is largely the end of Western civilization. It is the seed of our destruction, all right? But I'll leave you with one last question before I go here, all right? If a philosophy and a worldview and, just the assumptions that a society, that a culture makes, if these values are not life-affirming, if they don't make you stronger, if they don't make the situation better, then what are they? If they're not life-affirming, they could be a great many things, right? But if they don't affirm the fundamental value of life and individual rights, which is freedom, if they don't do that, by extension, what are they doing? Because if I tell you what they're doing, you're going to say, no, that's too much, Howard. Okay? But again, ask yourself, if it's not helping you get strong and healthy and build a better independent life for yourself. And yes, you need an independent life. You don't want to be dependent on everybody and then have to appeal to their emotions. If it isn't doing that, by extension, what is it doing? So consider that and join me again, Howard Dare, as I hope to and plan to have more content for you. Thank you, MGTOW.